I love video games. I love videography. I love recording. I love photography. So that whole year of me recovering, I kind of put my heart into building my um, building my portfolio and my career outside of football and seeing what I can make of myself without being able to go run on the field and make an interception or make a pass breakup. Sometimes life is a little bit more than those moments. And when you're stuck in a sport for so long, sometimes that becomes the only thing that is important to you. So it's always important to find things outside of football that can, or whatever sport that you're doing, that can make you feel fulfilled and happy. What's up, everybody? My name is Roderick Boyd. Some people know me as Deuce, and this is the first episode of Turf Talk, where I will be talking about some of the college experiences I had as a college football athlete, as well as some of the just regular day struggles as a college student that some people may not fully see or understand. So I'm gonna shine some light on some of that behind the scenes actions of what a college student may be going through, especially a college athlete. So for today's episode, we'll start with battling injury and fighting adversity. So this is actually a really important topic to me because last year, I play cornerback. I am a defensive back. I move inside and outside whatever is needed for the team at the time. But I suffered a big injury. I tore my labrum in my left shoulder, and it was actually a life changing experience in a way. And I just want to really kind of get into it. All right, so what happened? So to start, I tore my labrum in my left shoulder. Just put it out there early, but just to backtrack, that season, this is my junior season. So it's very important for me. Growing up, I always felt like going to the NFL was a big dream. And even though I am a D2 athlete, I still believe that, that's a possibility. So I really was putting in a lot of work going into the season. I had a couple good games leading up. We just played Grand Valley, a really big team. They ended up being they're always consistently like a top three team in the nation. So it was a big game, but I definitely played well. I got a bunch of highlights. Got my first college interception that game. So I was having a good season um, going on until this point. So the game that I actually was injured on was I believe it was our fifth game. uh, we were playing our opponent was Franklin Pierce, and we were away. We were at their school. So to start the day, I warmed up like normal. Felt good. Uh, the first half went by pretty smooth. It was a couple plays I didn't really like, but I was confident that I could always bounce back, make a couple plays. So it wasn't nothing too big. But in the second quarter, during a kick return, I was kicked the ball, ran around to the right. I'll drop in the clip for those watching. But ran around the right, tried to cut inside one guy, kind of got close to the sideline, but I didn't realize that someone had like a straight line path to me, and kind of beeline to me on the sideline and hit me out of bounds to where I land. Like the way I landed on my right shoulder, but his whole body weight was on my left, so it pushed my shoulder in and ended up tearing my labrum. So yeah, that moment was kind of crazy, especially for me because I knew something happened, but as an athlete and a football player, a lot of guys can probably relate to this. Sometimes when you're in the moment, the adrenaline, the rush, the feeling of the team needs me, I need to be prepared, I need to be ready. Um, just that feeling, sometimes it numbs or takes away from the moment. Like the second I landed, uh, all right, I'll admit it did hurt, but the second I landed, my arm kind of went numb. It was a really sharp pain. It shot kind of down my arm. My arm felt a little bit heavy. But the one thing that really kind of made me concerned and made me feel like this may be something worse than just a bruise or something like that was I felt clicking and weird like grinding, like almost as if you hear like a bike chain like that clicks up a lot, or even like like a railroad track, the way it's like chicka chicka chicka, like it was that grinding sort of rhythm along my collarbone, which I never really felt before, and was kind of like alarming because every time I would move my arm, it would kind of move and click again. So that that alone had me a little bit concerned. So after I couldn't get up myself, I had asked one of my teammates to help me up in a discreet way so not a lot of people notice. Don't do this, by the way. If you're an athlete coming up, trying to play, if you're injured and you know you're hurt, get a trainer, get it all figured out. But I got my teammate to help me up. And as I got up, I just started moving my arm, just moving it around to see how it feels. Generally, if you get hurt as an athlete, you just you test it out, see how it feels. And that's when I really started feeling hearing the grinding and feeling like a deep, dull pain. It was like always at a certain level. It wasn't excruciating, but it was just a dull pain in the middle of my shoulder that I couldn't really reach. I felt like I couldn't like massage or try to like help, and that was the thing that was kind of hurting me the most. So after I got hurt, I ended up finishing that game surprisingly. um but I kind of just fought through. I tried to do my best acting job, use my leg and my stance to try to prop my arm up at times when it felt low. uh but yeah, it was definitely tough. Just looking at my notes, one question that I want to answer, like a lot of people ask, like, did you feel concerned, or like how did you what were you thinking in a moment when I got hurt? And honestly, I didn't realize how bad it was. Like, I kind of in my mind rationalized it and was like, I'll play through it. I'll be okay. The team needs me. Um, especially with the way that my teammates talked to me. I knew they also went through a lot of injuries. I at the time, shout out to B and Joe, a couple of guys that I played with. But they played through some injuries. They played through a lot of tough injuries, even like similar to mine. So I already understood what they were giving out, and the output that they were giving to the team, just showing that regardless of their body, they were still pushing to be there for us. So even them, they asked me, "How's your shoulder? What's going on? Like, are you okay? Like, can you play? We need you. We need you." So hearing that, I was initially feeling like I don't know how I feel, because I never really felt like nothing like this before. But hearing how important it was to them that I was okay and that I was able to come back and attribute to the team, it really kind of just pushed me to be like, all right, let's figure out what I got to do just to make sure I can even get in. I can make it look like I'm good, so that maybe that'll help the team any sort of way. I was trying to figure out how to get right. I was in the trainers every day. Um, from that point on, every day, shout out to Ashley. I was in there asking her what's going on, what can I do, contrast, this and that. I was asking her, just whatever exercises I need to do just to stay on top of my shoulder and just to get the pain level down. So right after the injury, when I talked to Ashley at the time, like, you can't. The problem with my injury is that it's not one that's just visible. You can't just look at me and be like, oh, I know what's wrong with you. Um, but at the time, I had a little bit of atrophy in my shoulder. I had like a small dent that I didn't notice. Um, but it was kind of different than my opposite shoulder. So I knew that something was going on, but they told me, I had some pectoral inflammation, and we just were working to get that out, working to get the inflammation to go down. It was really tough, honestly. Even going into that next week practicing, it was it was harder to practice more than the game, because being that it was just fresh, it was still kind of a new injury, and that I was needed. You know, I was playing an instrumental role on my team at the time. I felt like it wouldn't have helped anybody. We couldn't lose an extra guy. At the time, we lost our starting quarterback. We lost a couple of our linemen. Um, Another one of our safeties, defensive players got hurt. Shout out to Deion Quinlan. Um, we just were going through a lot as a team, and I felt like if I can still contribute, my legs were working, my arms were working, I just got to go out there and do it. But when I realized it was kind of bad was going out there getting hit on the opposite side of my shoulder and feeling like I got hit by a truck. Things like that. I'm like, what is going on? Like I just never really felt that pain before, but um just to wrap up that that a little section of how I felt during the season. It was just a daily grind of getting in the trainers. So for any athletes listening, make the trainer your best friend. You got to be in there all the time because they will keep you on the field. And that's how I got through it. I just made sure I got my treatment done, used my heating pad on my free time, and just made sure that I in my free time, any spare time I had, that I was working it to make sure my arm was either resting or recovering in some sort of way. So yeah, so transitioning from there, the next topic I want to talk about is the process of being diagnosed. So if as you guys are listening, obviously you know that I tore my labrum, but I didn't know at the time of of this part of the story. I just knew that was something going on with my shoulder, and after the season, after around 2 or 3 weeks, once I realized I was having the same pain, no real improvement after therapy, that's when I started to kind of realize, something was going on. So it took me around 3 weeks for me to realize, after the season, that it was something a little bit more. I was going through therapy, doing my arm exercises, but I wasn't really showing any progress. I lost all like strength above my head. I couldn't hold anything. If you told me to pick someone up, like for example, when one moment during break, I was trying to pick my little sister up, Raylan, and pass her to my dad, but I literally, like, my left arm gave out. Like I had no strength. I almost dropped her. And he was like, Deuce, like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. I thought my arm would hold it, but it couldn't. So moments like that kind of stood out to me as moments where I'm like, that shouldn't happen. That's never happened to me, to where I can't do it. It's not even like it was pain and then it just was like, oh, it hurts too much. It's like even with the pain, I can't move my arm past a certain point. So it was just it was weird. Moments like that kind of made me um start thinking that, I should probably get my shoulder checked out and see what's going on. So around March, yeah, March of that, no, not March, January of that year, I went to go get a MRI at home. Um, and during that MRI, their results said that I had a slight tear in my labrum, a posterior tear. So basically, what that means is, if you're, paying attention, right, or watching, not paying attention, if you're watching, um, on the back of your shoulder, if like you see kind of where your scap is, but not where your scap is, but like in between that part and the outside of your shoulder, it's like a ring. And that part was ripped, but they couldn't tell how much how big that tear was. So once I got back to school, I told my trainers about the injury, about just how it's torn. And one thing about torn labrums is, you can't, depending how bad the tear is, you can't rehab it. you'll lose that function um, from that point on. So that was one thing I was really worried about, and I didn't want to give my arm up for just to play. You know, at the time, I really did want to play really bad, but like my honestly, my health was is more important. I couldn't pick up my sister. I couldn't hold and hug anyone, pick up anything. I had to ask for help when grabbing things. Um, Anything large or just above the natural weight standard that you would need two good arms to pick things up. I couldn't do anything. So I told them that I just wanted to get surgery. But that's not really how it works. You still have to go through another process, which kind of was rough this time around because I knew my shoulder was torn, but I had to go through 8 more weeks of therapy just to make sure, I don't improve or it gets better. Because if you have slight tears, it is a possibility that you can recover and get better from rehab and therapy. But being that I already did therapy during the season and after the season, coming back from break, doing another 8 weeks of therapy, in my mind was kind of it wasn't needed, but it was I had to do it. So upon my second report, that's when they said, all right, your arm, you have a torn labrum. They did, if you know, they did a special technique where I kind of twist my arm and push it like to the opposite side of my body, and they put pressure on my wrist to where I have to push up. And depending on how much pressure I'm able to resist or the amount of pain that I'm in, they can determine whether or not your labrum is torn. So once they conducted that test, it was clear that obviously my shoulder was torn, and I started getting the surgery dates after that point. So fast forward to my surgery date, I ended up getting it scheduled for May 2nd, which, or not May 2nd, May 1st. But what's funny about that is that my birthday is May 2nd. So this was definitely an interesting year for me, especially having my birthday um, be the first day of recovery after labrum surgery. Um, so that was definitely a interesting birthday, but I got the surgery. Um, they ended up telling me I need 4 anchors in my shoulders. So basically, it kind of just sews my arm back together in a way, and that was running down the back of my shoulder. So I had like 4 scars, small scars. I got arthroscopy. So if you are an athlete and you heard of ACL surgeries or any surgeries like that in your knee, that is it's a similar surgery with how they conducted mine. It just was in my shoulder. Um, so once that was said and done, I was discharged. And what also was funny about that was I got my surgery during finals week of my junior year. So I was still had to do classes. I had to attend a Zoom a day and a half later after my surgery for one of my classes. I still had to finish a couple papers with one arm, which was pretty tough. But at least it was the back end of the school year, and I didn't really have to worry about writing papers after that. So during that summer, I didn't really do a whole much a whole bunch of running or anything like that. A shoulder injury is much more immobilizing than a lot of people may realize. They gave me a brace that kind of wraps around your body with a block in between. So it was kind of just holding my arm in place, and I had to wear that for around 2 months to recover. And the worst part about the recovery was not only the fact that your arm is just always locked to your body and stuck, but that wears down. It's like your neck gets strained for holding up your arm for so long. And then the biggest thing was sleeping. It was honestly so tough trying to sleep and just be comfortable with a torn labrum. I'm not sure if it was how mine went, but I had to sleep in a recliner for an extra, like, probably couple weeks to a month, even after getting my brace off, because it was uncomfortable. Like, you would think it's easy, but sleeping, like, your back, the way your back is tilted, the way you're laying, it affects how your arm is shifting. So any movement that was unusual or unnatural at the time was just like super super uncomfortable and painful. So I had to really stick it out in the recliner for a while and recover that way. But after a little bit of having my brace off, you start getting used to just having both your arms again. Of course, it's not the same. Your arm is weaker. I'm still recovering, even to this day, but I still had a little bit of atrophy. My arm was significantly weaker than my other. So once I came back to school, I wasn't active this season, but I was just, working on staying fit and trying to keep my body balanced in a way, because it sets you back. You can't lift certain weights, you can't do certain exercises. So I was trying to just do the calisthenics right, try to see, get my push-ups good, use my band, do my band work, get my stretches right. I did half of my therapy at home for like around a month and a half before having to report back to school for camp. So during that time, it was more soft therapy, nothing too rigorous or rough to shake my body. So I kind of transformed, as I went into the school year, on my therapy and, the things that I could do. I didn't end up like really lifting weights until maybe around November-ish. And that was very light, but November-ish of that next year, or not next year, but of that same year. Um, so it takes a while to regain that strength after an injury like that. But yeah, so moving on to present day. So right now, as I'm recording this, I am currently in spring ball. And if you know what spring ball is, it's just the not fall, the winter version of fall football, where we have practice every day, early in the morning, or not every day, but every other day, ideally. Right now, our schedule is kind of tight, so that's kind of how it is. But we're practicing consistently. And right now, at least for me, I feel like it's really good because this is the first time in a year that I'm able to actually run around and be with the team. For the last season, I was kind of sidelined the entire time. I wasn't really super active. I wasn't doing things in practice. Um, so it was really tough. Just staying in it, being involved. So now that I'm able to be back out here and with the team and doing it with some players that I haven't gotten to play with yet, and some guys that I've always been playing with, but just being in that environment again, it feels really good, and just having the support of the team is amazing. Like, I feel like if I didn't have the football team or be involved, it would be a lot tougher trying to recover and just stay active the way that I am. So I'm definitely grateful to be, playing again. Soon we'll be, hitting and using pads. So uh, yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'll be doing a couple more episodes moving forward, so definitely can track my progress. But yeah, it's going really well. I'm looking forward to the next season. I'll be doing my grad year here at Assumption. Yeah, so I'll be finishing out my last semester with the team next season, and from there on, hopefully, we can see if we can get a shot at the NFL or any other pro leagues that may be available. But yeah, so just to wrap it up, athletes, if you hear my story, one thing that I want to get across is let your support system know what's going on. One thing that I didn't do that I probably should have did earlier was listen to my support system. My dad, my mom, my girlfriend, all of them were kind of telling me, that this was something that was a little bit more serious than a normal injury. And initially, I kind of rejected it. And as an athlete, sometimes it's hard to accept that. Um, Injuries, in a way, are a symbol of like ending a career. It puts a halt in all the plans that you've had and that you've made up until that point. And sometimes it's really hard, having to basically sit down for a year just to recover and come back and do something that you've always been doing is not always easy to tell someone. So, in my mind, I was kind of taking out that being the possibility. So once it was confirmed and I knew that I wasn't going to be playing again, excuse me, it was really big that I had my family around to support me and just to make sure that that I mentally was okay, and just knowing that I made the right decision, making sure that my body is okay and healthy. So um, another tip that I would give athletes too going through serious injuries is find another hobby. As a athlete, sometimes your identity becomes your sport, and it's always good to find something else to put your personality in. I I love video games. I love videography. I love recording. I love photography. So that whole year of me recovering, I kind of put my heart into building my um, building my portfolio and my career outside of football, and seeing what I can make of myself without being able to go run on the field and make an interception or make a pass breakup. Sometimes life is a little bit more than those moments. And when you're stuck in a sport for so long, sometimes that becomes the only thing that is important to you. So it's always important to find things outside of football that can, or whatever sport that you're doing, that can make you feel fulfilled and happy. And it was tough, but that's what most of my recovery was. It was figuring out who am I outside of just being this football athlete that plays. Um, so, that's something that I'll touch on more in another episode. But yeah, just to wrap it up, thank you guys for tuning in. This is Turf Talk with Deuce Boyd. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and we'll be coming out with a couple more episodes moving forward. And yeah, so thank you for tuning in, and yeah, peace out.